Hi, and welcome to the Momafey Live Conversations. And for those of you, this is your first time, I am Mama Faye, and today we're going to be talking about those hidden goal blockers that are keeping you from accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish in your life. And we're going to also get into the hidden fees. Did you know there are hidden fees? Or they might not be so hidden. Fees that we are paying every day that are impacting our budget. And so we're gonna get into both of those topics today. And for those of you, this conversation is kind of predicated on two podcasts that I have, and one of them is the Mama Faye Becoming Me podcast. And so that was the theme or the topic for the week. And it was about these goal blockers that are affecting your life and keeping you from being able to do the things that you would like to do. And then the other podcast, which is the other podcast, is Small Steps, Big Change, which is coming back in July. But I gave you a teaser this week, and that was the hidden fees that are causing us. And a lot of times when our budget seems to not be able to come together, a lot of times we are not making any concessions for the fees that are happening. So I want you to stay tuned. Something in this particular live is going to be for you. And I want you to stay tuned. And if you have anybody who are dealing with those two topics, they might want to join this live today. All right, so let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the goal blockers or things that come in your way when you set a goal and you're trying to do a goal, and for whatever reason you're not able to accomplish the goal. And I'm only going to mention about three, maybe four of them today, but I encourage you to go and listen to that podcast, because I guarantee you, when I go through all of those that I talk about on that podcast, you're going to find yourself and you're going to be like, oh, that's me. That one is me. And you're going to be able to identify the ones that are holding you back or may have tried to hold you back in the past, because that was my case. So let's go. The first one is spending too much time on other things. Yes, a lot of times we have set goals. I talk about how most people set their goals at the top of the year, and they will want to try to achieve certain things that happen in that particular year. But one of the things that prevent you from being able to reach that goal is spending too much time on other things. And for many of you, it's watching other people. And so, what that does is it impacts your life because you're spending too much time. And a lot of times that time is spending it scrolling. Sometimes it's people watching. Sometimes it's getting into all types of conversations that are take away from your ability to focus. I can remember when I was working, and yes, I'm retired. Hallelujah. But I remember when I used to work, and a lot of times I would have to set goals for the day, because the type of work that I was doing, especially at the end of my career, and I think you can put this for if you have other types of jobs too. But they were types that you had to be a go getter, and you had to be able to figure out what you need to be doing every day in order to get things done. And so for me, what I would do is every day I would sit down at the beginning of the morning and decide the things that I wanted to accomplish on that particular day. And that was how I kept myself on track. But lo and behold, something would happen that would try to come and stop me from being able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish on that day. So I call these things goal blockers. And so, but a lot of times what'll happen is somebody might come in your office with some really good, juicy gossip. And before you know it, you got caught up in the gossip and y'all got to talking. And before you know it, time has passed. And guess what happened? You did not get back to your goal, the goal that you had set to accomplish that day. Sometimes you have a goal to go somewhere and to take care of some business, and lo and behold, something that happened where somebody or something will come along, and now you got to change what you was planning on doing or what you had scheduled for the day. And so a lot of times as I talk, a lot of times we can get into scrolling and we start getting into, the scroll. And then before we know it, we've gotten off track and we've scrolled a little too much, or we binge watched a little too much, that we wasn't able to get done what we wanted to get done. And that brings me to distractions, things that pull you away from what matters most. Have you ever found yourself, you were doing something and you were trying to get it done, and then all of a sudden you got distracted, and before you know it, you was all caught up in the distraction, and you said, wait a minute, now I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing that. Oh my goodness, I done got caught up into whatever it is that distracted you. And sometimes it could be something very simple, but it comes and it distracts you and becomes a distraction. And so another one that is big, that we don't always want to recognize, but that good old doubt and fear, that can be a goal blocker, because what it'll do is you will set out on your goal, and then you sometimes when you're trying to get something done in your head, it seemed like it was going to happen real easy, right? You had all of the simple steps of how you were going to do it, and for some reason it don't turn out that way. I remember one time me and my husband, we was trying to put together this cabinet, and it was a simple cabinet. It was like a stereo cabinet. It took us all day to try to put this little cabinet together. So sometimes it be something that you may have and you say, oh, it's just, I can knock that out in a day, I can knock that out in a day or two. And then in our case, we didn't have the tools, so now we got to go get the tools to be able to put this thing together. And we eventually got it done, but it took us much longer than we had expected. So a lot of times there can come along the fear and the doubt about something. And a lot of times, because it may be taking too long, you'll say, I can't do this because this is just too hard. I don't think this for me, because I didn't think it was going to be this hard. And a lot of times it may say that, oh, I don't want to start that, because if I start, I might fail. I might not get it done. A lot of people want to go back and get some type of education or certification, and they say, oh, it's too hard. And some people say, oh, that AI, I don't understand that. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to try to learn that because, that's too hard. And it also, too, there is, I'm not smart enough. And a lot of times people allow the fact that they feel like they're not smart enough to block them. And I sometimes, like, it can happen with, because I was this way too, that if I failed anything, I was not going to try that again. And I mean, like, if it was a test that I took, if it anything that I took or whatever, and if I failed that first time, oh no, no, no. That was it. I wasn't out. And I realized for many people, it wasn't until I had a coworker that was from another country, and they were trying to get their license to become a nurse. And this particular young lady, she took the test. I am not lying. She took that test 8 times, but the eighth time she actually passed it. And that taught me something. I learned a life lesson from just watching what she said. And eventually she became a nurse manager and was able to continue with her career. Now that took me for a loop because I knew that at that point in that stage of my life, I would have never took that test that many times. I was fortunate that the first time I took the test, they tell you that I don't know how it is now, but if the machine cuts off at 90 when you answered 93 questions, then you either did so terrible that the machine cut off, or you did so good you didn't need to go any further. And if you were just sort of middle in the middle way, it would let you go the next many questions. And I think it was up to like 300 and some questions, I believe it was. But I went into that into the testing site with the understanding that I thought about that woman, and I said, if I don't pass it this time, I am going to take this test again. And that test is costly. It costs a good little amount of money. But I said, I'm going to do the same thing she did. I am coming back. And when they said I could take this test again, I am going to take this test. But guess what? Thank God, well, at the time I didn't know, but it shut off at 93 or 96 or whatever that first cutoff was. So I got real nervous because I said, oh Lord, I'm gonna have to take this test again. But it was that I passed it, and I passed it with flying colors, and I passed it at a point where I had a high score. Now I have to give y'all a secret. Before I took the test, I took a test taking class. And so I would tell anybody, if you have any type of certification, any type of exam, anything, it's not just enough to go and learn the information and know the information. You need a test taking class, because that test taking class told me and showed me how to pick out the best answer out of all of the questions that they give you, and they give you tips of how to take the test so that you don't go in and be so nervous that you can't get through the test. That's my little secret from the Momafey corner, all right? So, what should we do when we have all of these goal blockers and distractions and fears and doubts happening? This is the one thing that we must do. The key is to dealing with goal blockers is expecting that there are going to be interruptions, that they're actually going to be distractors, so that you already know that when you sit down to write a goal or to do something, that there are going to be obstacles and things that are going to come your way that is going to try to stop you from accomplishing that goal. And so when that happens, you have to already have in your plan of how you're going to accomplish that goal, of how you're going to reset yourself to be able to accomplish that goal. And that brings me to writing those goals down. And I have a journal I have two journals that you can use to do exactly that. One is one that is not written out and it's a little bit more generic. And that one, I'll tell you in a little bit of how you can get that journal. And the other one is coming out in June 23rd. And that one is a whole year guided journal that you can get as well. And I'll tell you about both of those a little bit later in this particular live session. And so that brings me to our other podcast, which is Small Steps, Big Change Podcast. It's called Momafey Small Steps, the Big Change Podcast, so that you'll know you're on the right podcast when you see my name, and you can see my name on the screen. When you see that name, you know that that is me. On this particular podcast, we're talking about the things that your mama should have told you, and you need that you need to know. So that's a whole series, and that's actually going to start in July. But I'm giving you this teaser, and we talked about hidden fees. And the fees that I'm talking about is the fees that you have to pay every day that you're not really very conscious that you are paying it. And for some of you, you are conscious and you know that there's a fee, but what the key that I'm going to give you today is one thing that we need to do in order for us to be able to manage those fees. And what type of fees am I talking about that are affecting your budget? And you're wondering why I can't get this budget to work. The late fees. Many of us you are paying things maybe not by the due date. So every time we miss that due date, we end up paying a late fee. And that late fee can be pretty stiff. It can be pretty quite a bit. And we all, a lot of us that, have people delivering things, believe it or not, you are paying for a delivery fee every time you have something delivered to your house. And of course, we know those bank fees that happens when we overdraw the account. We have those bank fees, and we also have some places have administration fees, convenience fees because you paid online or you paid whatever. They have a convenience fee. But one of the fees that I want to talk about today, because many of you are going to be going on vacation and you're going to book your rooms and you're going to book at some of these resorts, I want to talk today about the resort fee because many of you are going to book a room and your room, you got a good price and everything, and you're so excited because you got your little budget going and everything. And lo and behold, you're going to walk to that counter, and the people are going to tell you that they have a resort fee. Reason why I'm telling you this, because a lot of times the resort fee is by the day, and some of them can be as much as $50 per day. And not only that, some of the places also have a parking fee. So you have to pay the resort fee plus the parking fee, and it was not in the booking fee that you paid online. See, you think you done booked the room and you done put it on your credit card and you have made allowance for that on your budget. Guess think again. A lot of times they have a resort fee and they also have a parking fee, and they require that every day, and some of them will even go on to have you to make a deposit fee where you have to deposit a certain amount and then they'll issue that money back. So I want you to be careful about that. And one of the ways that you can not get rid of it, because you're going to have to pay it, but when you book a room somewhere, call and find out. Sometimes it's on the actually they have it on there, but you're not paying attention. You like just book, 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 and click, and you're done. Pay attention to how much that resort fee, all of the fees that they're going to require. Read that. And I don't know if they have people still answering phones today. You know how that goes. But you may want to call and ask them how much is their resort fee. Are there a parking fee? Are there any other fees so that you can adjust your budget, and so that when you go up to that counter and you're all excited and everybody have all of their baggages and luggage and everything, and you already have in your budget these extra fees. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and go over and listen to that podcast. It runs on Facebook, it runs on YouTube, and it runs on Substack. So you have no excuse. All you got to do is click on them. One is called the Momafey Become Me podcast, but this one that have the fees, that is the Small Steps Big Change podcast. And I have a newsletter that accompanies that Small Steps Big Change podcast. It's called the newsletter. It's called the same thing. And in that newsletter, I also include how to dispute a fee and how to ask for the money back or for them to remove the fee. So I have that written down for you, and that newsletter is right now is free on Substack, so you can go and get that as well. And so I want to encourage you all to not only listen to the podcast, um, the Becoming Me podcast is on every Tuesday, and the Small Steps is going to be on Wednesdays. And so you can listen to both of those. I usually run my podcast with series, and what series mean is that it's usually a week. I mean, it's weekly, but it also runs for maybe 1 or 2 months, and then I may stop that podcast, but then it'll have another series that will be coming out. And that reminds me, for those of you who have been a part of the Understanding Cycles by Mama Faye, that podcast will probably be coming back in the fall. And I'm going to be talking about Esther and the Esther strategy. And we're going to be getting into good in this one. We all, those of you who are Bible readers, you know, we about when I talk about Esther, you know about Esther as a queen. But one of the things that I'm going to be dealing with in this particular series is Vasti. Vasti was a queen before Esther was. And Vasti was having some issues with how she was being portrayed to others and how people did not understand her value and her worth and how her beauty, because she was beautiful. And a lot of times we think that people who are beautiful, they have no problems. And a lot of times they don't want to talk about the problem, but sometimes being beautiful can be a problem in itself. So we gonna get into good old Vasti and some things that decisions that she made about her life and the consequences that she had to pay. But it was all because the woman was beautiful, and she didn't want to be just seen for her beauty alone. So we're going to get into that, and that's coming in the fall. So I want to encourage you all to subscribe to my um, podcast. And for those of you who are following on Facebook, I want you to follow. I want you to follow my page, and I want you to go ahead and listen to those podcasts. I thank all of you who comments on Facebook. You have been commenting, and I look at those comments, and I want you to continue. And for those of you who are on YouTube, I want you to subscribe and to like. And I also want you to join a community and to be a part of that community as well, and leave your comments as well. And you can also look at both of those or listen to those podcasts on YouTube as well. And then those of you who are a part of my Substack family as well, Motivate Family. That's where all three of my podcasts resides as well. And that's where you can pick up those newsletter. And I want to encourage you to do so. And for those of you who want to take that next step, maybe you want to start goal setting and you want to set goals. So I have, if you subscribe for free on the Substack, you'll get that PDF that is a downloadable goal setting journal that you can start goal setting. And it's also available on Amazon. Believe it or not, you can go on Amazon and get the if you want the journal or the book in as well, you can go on Amazon as well. And also, I told you at the top of this live about the guided one that I have, and that one takes you through a whole year, but it guides you through the year as to how to set those goals, how to monitor them every month, and how to write an action plan as well. So that is going to be available in June on Barnes and Noble. You can go there and pick up that journal. And while you're over there, I have some other books. And so the way that you can find that the books that I have on Barnes and Noble is by going, and my name is Faith Randolph, and you can put in me as an author, and everything that I've written will come up on Barnes and Noble, and you can support what I'm doing by going and being a part of that as well. And for those of you that want more, you can become a yearly paid subscriber. And as a paid subscriber, you get even more benefits because you get free ebooks, your journals, and you get discount codes. And you also, as a yearly subscriber, you also can get a one-to-one with me. And I will go over goal setting. We can go over interviewing. We can go over many things that I will help coach you on as well. And I would love to be able to do that with you. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And then, of course, those of you that want to support the work that I'm doing so that I can get more equipment and so I can put out more products and more things for you to be able to um, have more and be able to accomplish the things that you want to do in your life. The information that I'm giving you is going to be valuable, and also it's to motivate you each week to stay in the process, because believe it or not, the world is going to keep changing. Things are going to keep happening. I keep telling you, these obstacles, distractions, all is never going to be a day that you're going to be where there's never going to be another problem in your life. There's never going to be anything. So what we have to do, we got to learn to manage it. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you manage those situations. And we're going to manage together. You're going to be helping me by commenting and and suggesting and being a part. And I'm going to be helping you by bringing this information that you need to be able to say, hey, I could pop in that podcast while I'm at the doctor's office. I could I could listen to it while I'm riding down the street. I can listen to it when I go to bed at night and I can't sleep. I could put on one of those podcasts and listen to it and at that as well. So I want to encourage you. You can go to my Momafey-HT.com website and buy merch. And also, if you want to donate, you can go there and donate as little as $5 as well. And don't forget to come each week, because I am going to be doing these live conversations. And as when you all start sending, more questions, I will answer them on the live, believe it or not. I won't give your name. I'll leave you keep private things private. But if you send me a question or you want me to talk about a particular topic while I'm on these live conversations, I will more than be happy to do that for you. So I want you to continue to walk with me through this journey as we walk through those journeys. And I want to encourage you to go and listen to the podcast that I have, that I put out each week. And that is all for today. And I will see you next time.